Hey, I'm Edward Reyes. I'm in the Youngest in the Yacht Club podcast.
They want the money and fame. We go to the city and we don't be tucking our chain. Woke up in paradise and we live in the drain. I know it won't be the same. Someone lo puro cocaine. Fly Latino gang. I used to dream of something like this.
Youngest in the Yacht Club. I got Eddie Reyes, man. How you been, man?
I've been good, man. Just doing my thing here, just working, doing all this,
That's
trying to make it happen.
That's fire. That's fire. Lato graduates. That's what we were talking about
Lato
earlier.
graduate,
Yeah. And we were on the father's team. You said.
Oh man, I have a look. I'm turning 44 now. Actually, March 19th coming up. Like
4 days.
4 days. Right?
Yeah.
And I have a 25-year-old. So imagine that. I mean, I was 17 when I had my first one.
Yeah, man. Me and you are in the same kind of like range, man. I have a 20-year-old, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, man, how does that change like how you're thinking, man? Because you're relatively young still.
Yeah.
And you got a 20. Yeah, right. Like right. Yeah,
I feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we look good. I feel like
I feel like I look too. Yeah.
that Lato water, man.
That's it. That's it.
It's kept us
It
young.
has.
How my biggest thing, especially on Youngest in the Yacht Club, we want to give people the sauce. We want to give them the cheat codes, right? Because that's what they think. They think that they want the cheat codes. But before we do that, we want to know where does Eddie Reyes actually come from? Like, who is Eddie Reyes?
Bro, so like, everybody has the daddy issues.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say I have daddy issues, right? So, I think I come from a strong upbringing from my mom and my stepdad that I consider him my actual dad.
Awesome.
But, and then because I had a child earlier in life, my wife, also a teenage mom as well. She changed my life, because I was doing stuff, if you know Lato, what happens in Lato, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of changed my direction there. And when my first daughter was born, it changed my direction. That I said, listen, I need to grow up and be a better person. Because my real dad wasn't the best provider, I guess you would say the least.
Or the best influence, maybe, too?
Oh, not even close.
Right, yeah.
Not even close. But, at the same time, that pushed me to do better in life. Because every time I compare myself, I'm like, all right, do I really want to be like my dad? Not so much. So to me, I said, all right, I need to do better than what my dad did. Therefore, I need to man up.
That's fire.
So that's kind of what kind of pushes me.
It kind of taught you, right? They say the alcoholic dad will teach you what to do and what not to do, right? Right? You can see the differences in some people, who you want to be like or who you don't want to be like. And so. And
it's crazy. It's funny you bring that up because some people, same analogy, alcoholic dad. Some people go say, well, my dad was an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic. My grandpa's an alcoholic. So therefore I am. But do you have to be that? No. You can be the opposite. You can decide to say, you know what? I'm not into this alcohol. I'm not into this, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
That's awesome that you, and it's good that you see that. So then your direction, where'd you end up going? Like, so you were going kind of like sideways a little bit, maybe off the beaten path of the way that you're supposed to go?
So, yeah. Clearly off the beaten path a little bit when I was younger. All my friends, in fact, my mom was smart. My mom, she put me in Jefferson for 2 years, and she's like, all your friends will drop out, which most of them, they did drop out.
Wow.
And then went to Lato for 2 years because they were all dropped out.
Yo, your mom was a mind reader.
She was smart, yeah. Well, she knew the neighborhood, right? She knew the neighborhood we were in.
What part of Tampa were you from?
Town and Country.
Town and Country.
Town and Country.
So you just see that. And how was Town and Country back then?
I would probably say it wasn't the best thing, but I think that most of the problems came from us.
So honestly,
because I don't want to blame my environment because we were the environment. You know what I'm saying? Our friends and things that we thought were cool. And when you grow up and you don't have much money, my mom's a hardworking mom. Sometimes you get into things you don't want to get into, or question. You think that those are things you want to get into, and then later on in life, this is not it.
It's not that. It's not the move, man.
It's not the move.
And then, and so grew up, mom raising you. You had a good stepdad as a good influence.
Phenomenal stepdad.
Awesome.
I mean he came in my life when I was 9 years old. I remember he taught me how to play baseball. I played baseball. He was always there for me. So he was very strong father figure. And I call him Papa. In fact, my parents live with me now in my house now.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's good that you're able to give back to them, right? Yeah.
For sure. It feels great, man.
That's awesome, man. And then so you end up going to Lato High School, kind of getting in a weird situation. Went to Jefferson first, then went to Lato. You graduated.
Yeah, so I graduated, and then I started working, and I kind of give you a backstory. When I started working 4 or 5 jobs, because we had I had minimum 3 jobs every time. I worked at service merchandise. I did, side things. I did a whole bunch of things, because we had a newborn, right?
Right.
And I remember working at service merchandise, and this is kind of what got me into this whole entrepreneur thing, is I started working there, and I really liked the business side of things. And I was going, and in fact, I was training other people that were coming in. I was doing all these things. I was opening the store at 5 a.m. when I didn't have school. And then I remember sitting with the head manager, which is the store manager.
Right.
And he would tell me, hey, we're going to promote you. We're going to make you a store manager, whatever. Got me all excited, right? As a young kid, we have really nothing. That's a big deal, right?
Right.
And then come to find out, I trained my next manager. And then I said, hey, what's going on? I heard you guys get the guy the promotion as the manager. Like, you know what? You're too young. Nobody's going to listen to you. I said, wow, there's that.
Yeah, that's
there's that. It's a slap in the face. So I actually left there, and I went to a Tampa Federal Credit Union. And Tampa Federal Credit Union, it was, again, I was working at a branch in Town and Country. I was getting these awards every single month. It's called Pi, and I was like cross-selling. I was doing all these things, and then they were taking me to different branches for I can cross-train other people how to be more efficient and how to cross-sell products. And so they, again, 19 years old. They 19, 20 years old at this time.
Hustler.
Thank you, man. And so they put me to a place in off Nebraska. And the lady who was supposed to train me as a manager wasn't training me as a manager. So I was going, and again, this is how I learned about corporate hierarchy. And I would go over her head. I'm like, hey, so-and-so is not teaching me how to do this. So then she will get in trouble. And then, nothing was happening. So I kept going over and over and over their head. I ended up going to the CEO of Tampa Federal Credit Union. And this lady hated me, bro.
The CEO?
No.
Oh, the manager.
The manager was supposed to train me.
Yeah.
Because I kept, so she would go through my files, throw stuff on the floor, and like my reps, like my customers are like, yo, what's up with this girl? This girl named Michelle. What's up with Michelle? And I'm like, she's like this all day long, right?
Just making your life miserable.
Oh, it was horrible.
Wanting you to quit.
Horrible. Yeah, I mean, like one day I was, I tell the story at a time. She tripped one day. I caught her before she hit the floor, and then because I grabbed her, I got sexual harassment because I touched her before she hit the floor, right?
What?
It was insane, bro.
And you should have just let her just fall.
I know, that's what I should have done.
But you being good,
Right?
making sure there's somebody, and then they give you a sexual harassment charge.
Yo, it's crazy.
It's wild.
It's wild. So and then one day I clocked out. I was going to go to lunch. A customer came up. I started helping the customer. When I was done with the customer, then I went to lunch because I ended up having meeting with the customer prior to, right?
Yeah.
So then she's like, oh, you're falsifying time. You're doing all this other stuff. So they let me go.
Wow.
They said, listen, we know that you're not wrong. However, this lady is like daily trying to hit you up.
Yeah.
And in a good way, I'm glad that this happened to me because I started telling my wife, and again, we have a young child at this, saying is about maybe 1 year old, or a few months old, something like that. She's like, I'm like, what am I going to do, right? Like, this was my job. I thought I was going to be like working at the bank, right?
Yeah.
Institutionalized, right? And so she's like, why don't you go to school, to be a massage therapist? Because I met a chiropractor I like because I was in a car accident. And I was going to go to New York to go to school, New York Chiropractic School.
Wow.
She's like, you met one guy. He's a cool guy. Now you want to uproot us and go to New Jersey. And I'm like, she's like, you should do massage therapy. I said, that's gay. I don't want to touch people. I don't know about all that. Again, ignorant self, right?
Right.
Not having an idea what I'm thinking. Some places off Kennedy Avenue.
Right.
Right. I'm not trying to do all that for $1.
Right. For a living, right?
For a living, right? And so she talked me into it as any good woman would, right? And then I went to massage therapy school, and then with a few months, when I graduated massage therapy school, I was working at a clinic, and with a few months, I was already seeing how they operate And I was like, I like the business side. So as I was working there, I was buying equipment from places that were closing.
Wow.
I was going and flipping furniture because back in the days we didn't have social media, right?
Right.
Or at least not prevalent.
Yeah, it wasn't like they didn't have what we have today.
Of course not. Yeah.
Right.
So I was actually buying dividers. One of my mom's old job, Jim Walters, they were closing down and they were selling. I bought tons of dividers and desks.
Wow.
And I was looking for places that would get rid of furniture, and I was flipping those furniture on the flyer.
Man. Oh, right? On the flyer. Yeah.
On the flyer, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to save up to $10,000 doing that.
Wow.
And yeah, bro, it was crazy. And I opened up the first clinic August of 2000 as a massage therapist, and then I brought on doctors. Well, this is more of a story to that, but I ended up bringing on doctors and therapists, and you know, of course, I didn't want to keep doing therapy, but you know, I had MDs, I had chiros, I had massage therapists, acupuncturists, neuro.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that for 13 years.
You literally opened up your own place.
My own doctor's office.
That's crazy.
At 21.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. My daughter at this time was like two and a half, something like that.
And you were fresh out of you're fresh out of school.
Fresh out of school. I didn't have an associate's. I didn't have no college degree. In fact,
Hustling.
I actually went to go to college a couple years after, and I said, "Oh, I'm making more money than doctors make." Again, ignorant self, right? Then why do I need to go to school?
Right.
And yeah, man, that's what happened.
That's amazing, man. Okay, so now you're out there hustling. You opened up your own doctor's office, basically. Any type of, all those things. You're now in the business world, right? Yeah. And now you're your own boss. You've given yourself the promotion.
Yes. You write your own check.
And you're writing the checks to other people too.
And the doctors too, exactly.
Yeah. So how is that working for you now? Where's your mindset in that point in time? And what was your next move after that?
So when I had the doctor's office, I bought a gym, Pitbull Gym, on Slide, Armenia.
Oh wow!
And I used that for PT as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's crazy. This is like around 2008 or in 2008 we had the downfall,
right?
I had a doctor that worked in my office that started doing some things he shouldn't be doing, which caused a lot of problems that I had to go through, and come to find out we weren't having a problem, but the insurance company cut me off for like a year.
Wow.
Huge problem.
It's crazy.
So the gym I own, that was going, like when I bought it had less than 100 members, and I got it to like 300 members in the first year. I had a street team out there, hustling, making phone calls, cold calling people. Outside giving me 2-week memberships.
It's amazing.
Like that. It's crazy, man. So I had that, and then I went to go sell that to somebody. They gave me $10,000 down. There's more to the story, but then they defaulted right away.
Wow.
So and then to get it back, they basically milked me. They had a rider truck one day at 10 o'clock at night, stealing all my equipment. It was a long, extended thing.
That's crazy.
And the cops kept saying, "No, this is a civil matter. We can't help you."
And these people were taking the
robbing
equipment.
me, bro, in front of me. Robbing me, bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Thank God the cop finally stopped him from loading up my stuff in front of me. But the guy already made a couple trips.
Oh my gosh. We always got to go through something, right? We talk about youngest in the yacht club. They see the ship, they see the journey, but they don't see the waters you got to be in with the sharks to get there, right?
Bro, you have no idea. So because of this civil matter, me and my wife were talking. We're like, what am I going to do if I had to get rid of the clinic and get, all this stuff? She's like, well, why don't you go to law school? I said, that's a great idea, because I jump, and so I said, you know what? I went to HEC, USF, and then law school at 30. So I started school at 31.
Okay.
I saw law school at 31.
You started law school at 31?
No, I started school, period.
School?
Period.
Like college?
College.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you're probably the oldest person there.
I was. It was so weird. I was one of the oldest.
One of the oldest.
Right.
There's older people too, right?
Facts.
And so you're seeing these people. You're in school. You're working. Are you still working at the time? You obviously have to provide for your family, right?
Well, yeah, I still have the clinic.
You still have the clinic.
I still have the clinic, and I ended up selling the gym.
So you did sell the gym.
I sold the gym. Well, I sold it in pieces, unfortunately.
Man.
And then the clinic, I did the clinic. There's some laws changing. Then with the doctors of the corporation, it got pretty crazy with the law changes.
Wow.
And then when I went to USF, I opened up a marketing company. I sold ads to doctors and attorneys.
What?
And I had a
You
street
sold
team.
ads?
Yeah, like I made a book, and it's a college resource guide, and I made books for attorneys.
Wow.
And they had street team handing out books, and I sold ads in the books.
That's crazy. And hustler, guys. Yo, Eddie Reyes, the hustler. Like, don't. You gotta see this, man. You got an amazing story, man.
Bro, it was a lot of work, bro.
So you're in HCC, Hillsborough Community College. You said you had to go to you went to HCC
And then USF.
and then USF.
And then I went to law school.
Okay, so how long was that process? And then were there days where you thought, like, why am I doing this?
Oh, bro, all the time. It was like 7 years. I call it like a jail sentence. That's how I felt. Because it was hard. But, I didn't tell a lot of people about law school. In fact, a lot of people, only if you knew me well, knew my end game, right? And the reason why, because I didn't want people to, because everybody's like, oh, when you finish law school, there's also, everybody started, in fact, a few people that did tell, beside my direct family, they're like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? You'll never make it. Like, they were doubters, right?
Right. They're putting that bad juju on there, huh?
Yeah. Well, because it's hard, right? And they're like, oh, law school is really hard. And I'm like, okay. and I'm not going to lie, it was hard. But you know what? That pushes me to do better.
Because
better.
Those people could never do it themselves, so they're
Facts.
putting their fears on you.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing it, they're looking at it and like, oh man, I could never do it, so Eddie can't do it.
Well, and one thing I do well is I play the dumb card all the time, and I love that because I'm like, wow, really, tell me more. And I do that all the time, and they're like, oh, he's stupid. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And I love that because they one, people give you more information, and two, they doubt you.
Yeah.
And then when you come up, they're like, damn, I didn't see that coming.
Right. And it makes the glow up just so that much better.
It really does, bro.
I love that. I'm the same way, man.
Yeah.
You can't tell everybody your stuff, but it's true. I try to play dumb cards as well because all the things that they're telling you all the obstacles. They're telling you all the things, man.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. So you went 7 years. You still had the clinic. You started selling the ads.
So, and then I got rid of the clinic. I sold that as well. And then when I got to law school, it was harder than I thought. And then I reactivated a real estate broker's license that I had.
You got your real estate license.
Oh, I have tons of license, bro.
Okay.
There's a lot more to that story. I was going to open up a state farm agency, and I got all these real estate, mortgage broker, life insurance, 220, 215,
Wow.
notary, tons of
Everything.
And because I was going to open up a state farm agency.
Right.
And then they said I had to close the clinic. I get it. Why?
Okay. Why?
Well, because I do personal injury.
Yes. You about to funnel them all through.
Just saying, it made the most logical sense. I'm
Right.
like, listen, I can't stay farm agency. My wife owns a clinic, and we, make it happen. Listen, you got a car accident, I got you.
Right.
And unfortunately, they didn't see it that way.
Yeah. No. The states and the legislation, right?
I get it.
The bar.
I get it.
So you graduated law school.
Yeah.
That had to be a crazy feeling.
Oh man, that was the most exciting and nerve wracking. Anybody that's going through law school understands this 100%. Like, it's the hardest thing you can possibly do, and the bar is the hardest test you can possibly take.
It's crazy.
And so I took the bar and I missed the first time by 1 point. I passed part of it. I missed the second part at 1 point.
Wow.
And the reason why, because instead of me doing what I said I was going to do, because right before you take a huge test like that,
Yep.
you need to free your mind. You need to not
Relax.
Relax. And the first day, I 2 days before the bar, I played golf. I got a massage. I did all these things. I felt ready.
Right.
The first day, killed it. Second day, I let one of my boys get in my head. He's like, "Oh, bro, did you get this?" And I'm like, "Oh, shit, did I get this? I don't know."
And now you start.
and then I started studying, and then I didn't sleep. And the bar's 12 hours.
Oh yeah, so it's
hard. So it's 6 hours one day, 6 hours the next day.
It's like a grueling exam.
Oh, it's difficult, man. So they let this dude get in my head, bro. And he ended up taking the bar like 6 times. I shouldn't even let him get in my head. He's my boy, but damn.
You should have played dumb. Like,
I should have, damn, for real. I should have used that. I was like,
tell me more.
Man. So when I took the bar the second time, no problem, passed it, no worries.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember getting the results of the bar. Man, it makes you want to cry, bro.
1 point.
1 point, yeah. It makes you want to cry. Like, it's crazy.
My wife took the real estate exam, which is nothing like that, but she missed it by 1 point as well. And she was crying. I was like, look, don't worry, you're almost there. I'm trying to be positive. She's like, I don't want to hear that right now.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
the stuff that I've had to do to do this.
You know the thing about the real estate exam, there's the stupidest thing in the world. They teach you it's mostly laws. But you don't even use the laws as a real estate agent. Like, because they tell you, it's like the devil's advocate. Have you seen Devil's Advocate?
Yeah.
You can touch, but you can't,
You can't see. Yeah.
It's the same idea. Like, they're like, hey, I need you to learn all the laws, but you can't talk about the laws. In fact, if you bring about the laws, you may get sued because you're acting like a lawyer now.
That's crazy.
It's the dumbest thing. Like, right?
So of course, yeah. My wife said the same thing. She recently now she's working at a brokerage firm.
Yeah.
And she's like, yo, I don't even use any of this stuff. Like, yeah. So let me ask you a question. You graduated. You did pass the bar. How many times did it take you? One time. The second time you passed.
The second time, the first time I passed half.
Right.
The 6 hour, the Florida part.
Oh, okay.
And then the MBA, I missed it by 1 point. In fact, my score was high, but they scale you down, and my raw score was off by 1 point.
Wow. And so you passed it the second time.
Yep.
What happened after that? Did you go work for yourself, or did you start working for somebody else?
So while I was in law school, I figured, because I was on real estate a lot at that time, I was like, how are people going to transition from real estate to me being a lawyer?
Right.
So I started doing this show called Morning with Reyes, like a Facebook Live every day.
Fire.
And I did it every day. And now I have themes like Motivational Monday, Legal Tip Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. But at the time, I would have different things that I would talk about every day.
Right.
And I was getting personal branding.
Right.
And the idea is, like, if I got personal branding, when I do graduate law school, people be like, I like Eddie as himself.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm going to follow him where he goes.
Right.
So when I already had quite a bit of a following, which was kind of cool. So when I posted on social media, hey, I just passed the bar, a lot of people didn't know I passed the bar. Tons of messages.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah.
Well, you took the bar? How the hell?
Yeah, you didn't. When'd you go to school? Right? And I'm like, well, let's see what happened was.
Right.
The time you thought I was chilling at home watching TV.
That's when. Exactly.
So one of those messages, somebody said, hey, bro, I have a client for you. You want to take a client? I'm like, yeah, I'll take a client.
Right off the rip.
Bro, the same day.
Wow.
So I actually had to call the bar. I had to get the oath faxed to me. I had to go to one of my boys' office, another law firm.
Yeah.
He did a notary thing. I had to send it back. I had signed up that client 3 days from finding out past the bar, 3 days later. And in those 3 days, I made a website. I ordered business cards. I made letterhead. I stopped at Chick-fil-A on the way to sign her up to put all the forms in my name and to the firm's name.
Wow.
I incorporated myself.
The one off of Waters?
Huh?
Which one? Which Chick-fil-A did you stop at?
No, this was going to St. Pete.
Okay. Oh,
no,
wow.
Clearwater.
Okay. I was like, yo, you stopped it.
Bro. And then the lady's like, well, why should I hire you? And I'm like, well, when I've owned the clinic for 13 years, and you know what? And as a new lawyer, I'm going to fight for you because I have something to prove. And she's like, you know what? You're hired. I like you.
Wow.
And we got a good settlement for her.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
so you won. You got a good settlement.
No. So, and then like the next day, it was like crazy, like the momentum. The next day, I got another client. The next day, I got another client. I signed up 286 clients the first year.
Wow.
It was crazy, bro.
Did you feel like you finally found like your calling, your purpose? Or did you feel like, you said it earlier before, backstage, like, hey, if you could do it any differently, would you have?
No. In fact, you know what? Through the trials and tribulations, bro, what I've learned is, as long as you learn from it. Because some people, they hit their head and they're like, oh, I like the way that feels. Let's do it again. Right? So as long as you learn from your mistakes.
Right.
And I'm not going to say I've learned from every mistakes, but I'm saying, like, as long as you take that as like, you know what, let me not do that again. Or let me do that differently this time.
Right.
Then you wouldn't want to change nothing.
No, that's amazing. I mean, although the guy's stealing your stuff out of your gym in front of you.
Well,
did you learn something?
Yeah, I learned that the hood Eddie didn't come out that day.
He did.
But it almost came out. Woo, you have no idea, bro. I was like
ready. Yeah.
But I was already doing well, and I'm like, you know what? It's good and bad. When you make a certain amount of money or a certain type of lifestyle, you start thinking, is this worth doing? And before, I was like, have nothing else to lose.
Right.
People that have nothing to lose are the most dangerous people in the world.
Yeah, for sure, because they ain't got nothing to lose.
Right?
Yeah. They're
But
desperate.
They're desperate, man. But when you have something to lose, you're like, you know what? This ain't worth it.
Yeah.
But what that taught me is because it was like ongoing joke with my wife. Like, it's a civil matter. It's a civil matter. I'm like, you know what? I want to be a civil lawyer.
Wow. Did you? And is that where you are now?
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of law? So what?
Civil litigation.
Civil litigation. What other? You said business as well, right? Business.
Yeah, which is all civil.
Okay.
So in civil, we primarily do personal injury, serious personal injury, and it kind of works because I had the clinic for 13 years doing personal injury.
Right.
So we saw thousands of people on the daily,
right,
for their accidents and their injuries. So I know the healthcare side, which
Very
helps
well.
me tremendously with the legal side.
Wow.
And now we're pivoting to add business law.
That's amazing.
So,
That's amazing. So business law, as far as like employment issues,
yeah. So like employment litigation, incorporation, asset protection. We can set up trust, articles of incorporation, minutes, corporate counsel, things like that.
Awesome, man. So, what's the name of your law firm?
The Reyes firm.
The Reyes firm.
The Reyes firm.
Fire.
Yeah.
And we always try to do this, especially youngest in the Yacht Club. We want to give our viewers a piece of advice. Like you said, the Hood Eddie, if you could tell your past self, if Eddie Reyes right now could tell your past selves one piece of advice, what would that be?
There's no shortcuts, man. There's no shortcuts. Somebody that decides that, you know what, let me break into cars, let me sell drugs, let me do all this stuff. They think that they're going to get that quick dollar. But at the end of the day, if you're locked up, you have to pay that back. Attorneys are expensive. There's no shortcuts at all. In life, in success, you got to put the work in. And legal work. And also be persistent. Persistence can take you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you made a mistake. You're in the wrong room.
Tell them.
So, but persistence is key, man.
That's it. That's one of the biggest things. So now that you're where you're at, what's next for Eddie Reyes?
Man, I'm really big into scaling stuff now. So like at this moment, I'm part of like the Tampa Chamber. I'm part of this accelerator program. I just applied for something with Stanford. It's a Ivy League school in California.
Yeah.
So I'll see if I get approved for that, and that's going to be a scaling program, a business scaling program. So my mindset is to scale the firm, and then bring my wife, my wife and my daughter, they're both in law school as well.
Wow.
And they graduate soon.
Really? So you turned the Reyes firm legit. Like,
yeah, I might have to put like a R3,
Hey.
Like math. Yeah.
Did you ever see that coming? Like, did you ever?
No, I didn't because like we're look as Hispanics, and I say this for most Hispanics, we're used to making money and buying stuff. Like buying stuff, hey, let me buy this car, let me buy this, let me buy that. Or showing off, let me show you that I got money, but you're broke as hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a limiting factor in our minds. Like we get money, we want to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And so no, I can say when I had the clinic, I was making money for the first couple of years. I was hood rich.
Mm-hmm.
I bought tons of stuff that I didn't need.
Right.
When
did you realize that needed to change?
Bro, when the money stops, when the markets are changing, the money stopped, and I started losing. The worst thing about not having nothing, when you don't have nothing, you don't know how that feels. But when you don't have something and then you have stuff and then it gets taken away, it's more painful than when you never had it in the first place.
Yeah, because you got it. You're like,
got it. You're like, and it felt good. It felt nice to go to these nice restaurants. It felt nice to buy those clothes. I got a little bit crazy with it, and I said, you know what? That stuff is not as important than experiences with your family, experiences with loved ones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
What age did you learn that?
I would probably say late 20s, man.
Yeah.
Late 20s. It took a minute because, like, at first, it was just the money was coming in. I was like, oh, this is crazy. And, but yeah, man, it took a minute.
It's big because I feel like, especially in my life, right? I've had to get it all and then lose it.
Oh, it's painful.
And then
it teaches you.
It does teach you, right? We talk about those teaching moments and the humbling moments, right?
Oh, super humbling.
Right? And then I always use the analogy, but I'm like a basketball, right? Yeah. As long as there's air in me, I could bounce back three times as hard, right?
Yeah.
But then if you lose it again, right? Or for, like you said, the markets change, or some type of
government regulations or something like that. Yeah.
right, changes, or inflation, or you know, inflation can erase 40% of the margins. 100%. Now you're like, hold up, where is this going? And then your lifestyle starts changing.
Yeah,
being able to adapt, right? I mean, Eddie Reyes is the prime example of being able to adapt, right?
It's not easy, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like when you're pivoting, like when you're changing, you know, when you the only positive thing I can say that happens from you losing stuff is that when you have no money, whenever you start thinking super clear, you're like, what do I need to do to make this happen?
Right.
You know, I mean, saying that when you don't have money, when you're in a good place with your family and stuff like that, not like
not hood rich, not when you're in the hood or where you're desperate or in your poverty, right?
Yeah, you know, this is more like things are going down. Once you can refocus yourself and say, you know what do I need to do? How can I think smarter? Do I need all these things? Or what can I do more with less?
Yeah, you become more resourceful.
A lot more.
Yeah.
You're like, I have no money. If I have $5, I need to figure out how to make 10 out of the 5.
You know what's crazy is I literally, before you got here, I was literally talking about the podcast, about how to be, you know, when you have the money coming in, you feel like you can buy relationships, you can buy anything you could. And then when you start realizing that you have to become more resourceful and do more with less, it's almost more powerful.
It's more powerful.
Yeah.
It's a reality check.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I won't settle for less than this because I can do this.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start figuring ways to be creative. Like you said, a little bit more clear, a little bit more creative. So you're pivoting. You're moving the business a little bit more. Your family, you've turned your whole family into lawyers.
Yeah. Well, my youngest daughter wants to be a doctor, which is, I'm very happy about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
So you have how many?
2 daughters.
2 daughters. So one's going to be a lawyer, one's going to be a doctor.
Yep.
Man, dude, you're just creating.
Bro, and I'm
procreating.
Because you know, in our culture, you know, at least in my family, you know, hardworking parents, but you know, they you know, they're used to the, you know, clock in, clock out, and you know, just make a steady income and, you know, stay below, you know.
Right, yeah.
Like, don't make too much noise.
Don't make too much. Stay below the radar.
Stay below the radar. Just keep working and you'll live an okay life, you know. But that's not the life I want to live, man.
What is the kind of lifestyle that Eddie Reyes lives?
You know what? When I first opened up the business, I didn't take vacation. I do a lot of things. And I realized that was bad thinking on my part, you know. Now I enjoy that we can go out on vacations. We can actually do stuff. Like, I'm not worried about, like, I can go to, like, you know, any restaurant. I can go to wherever I want. But I'm more focused on experiences now. Like, still put the work in. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm working even sometimes I'm there.
Right.
And my family's used to it already.
Right.
But they understand. But before I didn't take vacation. So I want to be able to say, you know what? I was able to spend some time with my family. I was able to do these things with my like I suddenly bring my mom and my dad in my house.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. I can do things that I couldn't do before, but now I could, you know, host parties with loved ones and stuff like that. It's not about buying the nice, expensive things. Yes, I have some of those things as well. But before it's all about that, not about the experiences. Before it's all materialistic. Now it's about living the best life with the people I love.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. Dude, youngest in the Yacht Club. That's what that's about, right? That's awesome, bro. That's it, man. That's being there, man. Eddie, super grateful to have you on the show. Where can people find you?
Well, on Instagram, it's Edward Reyes. On Facebook, Edward Reyes. In fact, you probably see him on a bus, honestly.
I think I have. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. You know, the firm number is 833-4-BAD-DAY because it kind of goes with my slogan, Had a Bad Day.
Had a bad day is the slogan?
Had a bad day, yeah.
That's awesome.
And, you know, really on social media, if you just Edward J. Reyes, you'll probably find me on all types of things.
No, that's amazing, man. You're out here. I feel like you are the epitome of youngest in the Yacht Club, man. And we appreciate you being on here. We appreciate
so much, man.
Man. We definitely got to have you on here again. Want it's, you know, as soon as you have those doctors and those it's like you create you create business people, man, and help. And I think that's super important. I'm super excited that our our viewers get to see that and see like the real person, not just the guy on the bus who's on that. Is there anything that you can leave, one gem that you can leave, our viewers with, that you would, be persistent? There are no shortcuts. One more.
I really think that be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else, because everybody tries it. They see somebody else like, I want to be like that person. Be you, because you are special, and people are gonna like you no matter what your personality is, because it's you. Be authentic to yourself, and people will follow.
Fire. Edward Reyes, Eddie Reyes on Youngest in the Yacht Club. Appreciate you for being here, bro.
All right, thanks, brother.
You, man.
Thanks, man. For
Thanks,
sure.
Man.
Thanks, man.